A Rapid City World War II veteran turns 95 later this month. He's been part of South Dakota's American Legion Post No. 2 for 75 continuous years. And what he experienced in the Navy is a stark reminder of the cost of war. Just a warning, some may find his recollections uncomfortable to hear. Despite that, he's got a big smile and loves to laugh as we go along the way with a page in history. Shaffhausen was born in 1925, raised on a farm a few miles south of Tyndall, South Dakota, and in May of 1943, at the age of 18, he enlisted in the Navy. It's been a while since he's looked in these boxes of memories.
I used to sit by that radio and listen to all that stuff, and boy, I told my dad, I said, I got to get in there. I've got to get in there.
Get in, he did. Sworn in by Jeff Voss, who would later go on to become governor of South Dakota. After several months of training, he boarded a troop ship headed overseas.
I thought they was going to drown me. You know, all us guys that had never crossed the equator before, they had the tank all set up in there and shoved you under. Shoved you, you thought you was going to drown.
He was assigned to Amphibious Group 9 of the 7th Fleet. His commanding officer would be the now famous Admiral A.D. Struble. Shaffhausen was thrilled to be chosen as part of Struble's staff, which he estimates was roughly 120 people.
But how I got in with this top secret duty, we drew up the invasion plans. All top secret information.
The Japanese had taken over the Philippines. Admiral Struble led the Navy's efforts to return control to the people of the Philippines. General Douglas MacArthur led the infantry. But that involved a series of islands and one invasion after another. Shaffhausen was an enlisted man, a second-class yeoman. But one day, he says, he was put on an airplane carrying some very important envelopes.
And personally delivered a copy to the skipper of each ship that was going to invade that next island. Little old me.
But there were other planes flown by Japanese suicide pilots, and their target was the ships.
They just dive right into you. Single-seat fighter planes, you know, one guy. Lots of them. The sky's full of them.
As they headed toward an invasion of the island of Mindoro, Struble and his staff were on the USS Nashville, leading the convoy of ships. Aboard were troops for the invasion, along with the crew of the ship.
And I was walking back by the gun, the 5-inch gun, 40 millimeter, 20 millimeters, and all the 5-inch ammunition was stacked right there. And I just walked by it, and I cut in behind, and opened the door there.
And went down a corridor. Moments later, a suicide pilot flew into the ship in the exact spot he had just passed. That inner corridor saved his life. More than 100 men died that day on the USS Nashville.
I mean, here's these guys just burnt to a crisp. You know, the gunners helped pick up a lot of the poor guys, just took them all down. Laid them down to try to comfort them and try to get their body parts picked up.
Over time, he was on a lot of different ships. As part of Struble's staff, his duty was usually on board, not on land.
We stayed with it through all the invasions of all the different islands. Lingayen Gulf was the last one.
Their mission was complete. They had helped liberate the Philippines. The rest of his service would be back in the U.S.
God was just taking care of me, I guess. I had a lot of close calls, but never got a scratch.
Dean received the Navy Commendation Ribbon, Asiatic Pacific Ribbon, Philippines Liberation Ribbon, and 5 battle stars.
For your part in these achievements, you deserve to be proud as long as you live. The nation which you served at a time of crisis will remember you with gratitude.
3 to May of 1946, it's June 22nd that he turns 95. And if you've met someone cool along the way, please call or email us to let us know. You know, seeing those black and white pictures with the kamikazes and the ships that were on fire, and hearing his description of the body parts laying all over that he picked up, and the men that he carried down below, and in particular the gunners that in his words were fried right in position, and seeing that look on his face that he made, he said it's something that bothered him for a really long time. But he says it has been a long time now, and indeed it has. It's about 75 years ago that happened.
Yeah, I mean, PTSD is a real thing. I think that's something that you probably never forget after you've seen it. So he was talking about those kamikazes that were up in the air, even the one that bombed his ship he was on, and I'm kind of wondering how common that was.
Yeah, it was common enough that he talked almost matter-of-factly about a destroyer that was hit right by them, that he watched as it happened, and he demonstrated with his fingers, and he says that it went like this and broke in two. I don't know if you can see it from there. He said it just went like that, and you could see the men jumping into the water right by him. And he says he did see several ships get destroyed. He is a treasure, and while his birthday is still 12 days away, happy 95th birthday, Dean Shaffhausen, and thank you for your service.
Absolutely. Happy birthday.